floating eye.
As a fast attack submarine designed to track down enemy ships, every member of her 130-man crew knows they must be ready at a moment's notice.
The mission of this ship is anti-submarine warfare. We're supposed to find the other submarines and invent a war to destroy those submarines. We do that by remaining as quiet as we possibly can. Quiet is the name of the game. The guy who's the quietest wins.
An attack submarine locates its targets by use of sophisticated multi-million-dollar sonar equipment, which can pick up the sounds of movement in such detail, even the pickiest stereo enthusiast would be impressed. What you're listening to is the same thing these sonar men hear on their headsets, in this case only a small pleasure craft. But bigger ships have unique sounds all their own, called acoustical signatures, a virtual fingerprint that must be cataloged and then analyzed by computers, some capable of 80 million calculations per second. What makes knowing the enemy's position so important is that the Soviets routinely probe America's coastal defenses, looking for weaknesses. So American subs are deployed to find them wherever they are, including the polar ice cap. One Soviet missile submarine can reportedly destroy 200 U.S. cities, and a straight shot could level the U.S. Capitol in 5 minutes. The Minneapolis-St. Paul and her crew reportedly have gotten high marks on their efficiency. They're at sea about 60% of the time, compared to just 15% for Soviet submarine crews. Minnesotan Grant Hagedorn says that makes a difference.
I'd like to think we have the best attack submarine in the world, and I'd like to think we have the best crews in the world. And I think that kind of speaks for itself as far as who's going to, I don't know, take out who.
Attack submarines can stay submerged close to 3 months at a time. Except in emergencies, the men cannot make contact with their families back home. And even if they could, these guardians of the deep are not allowed to discuss much about their mission.
Almost all of our missions are classified. You quite often read in the paper about carriers and destroyers and stuff being someplace in the world doing something, and you very seldom ever read about a submarine being anywhere. But yet we're usually present in a lot of places.
Norfolk, Virginia, headquarters of much of America's Atlantic Fleet, and where submarines and civilians are concerned, security is tight. There are two basic types of submarines, missile subs, nicknamed boomers, and fast attack submarines like the USS Minneapolis-St. Paul. The job of a fast attack sub is to destroy enemy missile submarines before they can launch their nuclear warheads. The Minneapolis-St. Paul is capable of firing cruise missiles, but one of her main weapons remains the torpedo. A Mark 48 torpedo is said to have a speed when launched of close to 60 miles an hour, with its own sonar system to guide it to the target.
All right, make tube 1 ready in all respects. Sierra 1, tube 1. Back sonar bearings and shoot. Fire.
While this is an attack submarine, almost anyone here will tell you it's something they hope never to have to do. But if it does, their job is to be ready. Major responsibility falls to young officers and senior enlisted men, like Grant Hagedorn of Litchfield, Minnesota. He's responsible for making sure crucial electronic and computer systems work properly. Mistakes could mean no tomorrow.
Surface ship, you always have kind of a second chance. If worse comes to worse, you can always jump over the side with a life jacket. Here, a lot of times, if you make a mistake, there might not be that second chance.
On submarines, all of the men are a different breed, the cream of the crop as far as the Navy is concerned. They have to be that way because when a submarine leaves port, gone are many of the things we take for granted. Submerged for up to 80 days straight, there is, first of all, no real day or night. There is no place to be alone.
Privacy is virtually non-existent. Some people don't even have their own bunk and must share bunks on a rotational basis, and there's just not any privacy at all.
It's called hot racking. The bed is often still warm from one person when another sleeping shift begins in the same bed. And you don't want to have nightmares here because waking up with a shout could cause you to hit your head. Pat Condon of Albert Lee is in charge of meals and menus. He knows all about people not knowing what time it is.
For the rest of the crew that are on 6 hours, off 12 hours, on 6 hours, they come up to the mess techs and they say, "What meal is this? What time is it?"
Pat says lasagna and cheeseburgers are some of the crew's favorites, though the commanding officer likes quiche. The least favorite?
Braised liver and onions.
No matter what the job on board a submarine, total dedication is required. As you might expect, that total dedication places severe strains on families. And tomorrow night, a look at how submarine life can torpedo a marriage.
If there's any instability in your marriage, one deployment can ruin it.
Aboard the USS Minneapolis-St. Paul with photographer Denny Baird, Tom Garrison for the Eyewitness News Update. In the abstract, there's something kind of intriguing about life on an American nuclear submarine. Top secret missions going places most of us will never go, doing things most of us will never do. But the harsh reality of it all is that the lifestyle demanded of a submariner involves some tough sacrifices. Some men just aren't willing to be at sea, perhaps 60% of the time. System-wide, 6 out of every 10 officers will choose not to re-enlist. And everyone misses one thing.
Family.
Family. So when attack submarines deploy for sometimes 6 months, they leave behind the families who face an equally long and lonely period of duties at home.
Right after they first leave, it's almost like a period of mourning that you go through.
Ruth Brash is one of 2 crew members' wives who serve as ombudsmen, trying to help other wives with problems while the submarine's at sea. One of the hardest parts, she says, is only being able to send one 40-word message to her husband, with none allowed in return.
Familygrams are, I think, nice for the men to receive, but I'm not so sure they're so nice for us to have to write because they're not that easy to compose. And then you have to be very careful what you say in them, too, because they are censored.
Children only know one parent for months on end, during which mothers, often desperately lonely, must be able to do it all. Many of these women sense that there's a part of life their husbands will never share.
He missed when she first took her, few steps, and he missed her first birthday and things like that. And you just can't bring back that time.
The men on the submarine can get leave for a death in the family or other emergencies, but some who have leave coming can't get it if their jobs are deemed irreplaceable. Consider, for instance, how Lieutenant Mark Kinney, whose parents live in Edina, found out he was a father.
Well, we came to periscope depth. I had the watch. We came up, we got a radio traffic, and the captain ran into the control room with the announcement and congratulated me for being a father of a baby girl.
There's a saying heard a lot in the Navy: shore duty's great, sea duty isn't. During one recent mission, the Minneapolis-St. Paul went under for 80 days, and so did a lot of marriages. 6 divorces followed that one 80-day deployment. Judy Condon of Austin, Minnesota, has been able to make her Navy marriage work by knowing what to expect. But she also knows that it's not just new marriages falling apart.
Like the divorces on the boat now. It's not just newly married couples, it's couples that have been married 10, 12 years, And these wives have been going through this all this time, so,
Scary.
Yeah, it does. They must come to a point maybe that just says, I've had it. I don't want this in my life anymore.
Judy says the kids take it hard when Daddy leaves, and she does too. But the key is to avoid being lonely.
I try and make friends fast.
Unfortunately, fast is also the word to describe how the Navy's commanders will have to act in the event of wartime. And tomorrow night, some words from the men who have to deal in a nuclear environment almost every day. For the Eyewitness News Update, Tom Garrison reporting. Back in 1983, the USS Minneapolis-St. Paul was launched and received her name over the objections of many peace activists who did not want the name of the Twin Cities associated with nuclear weapons. The sub can carry tactical nuclear weapons, but unlike subs bearing long-range nuclear missiles, the Navy insists no one can doubt the role of the Minneapolis-St. Paul and others like her is defensive, to stop enemy subs from launching their nuclear weapons at us. While others may disagree, it's clear from the crewmen we talk to that they are just as committed to keeping the peace and are almost constantly aware of the nuclear peril.
I don't know if it's scary. It makes you appreciate what you're doing, makes you maybe do your job a little more seriously.
Every waking minute, each crewman wears a radiation detection device on his belt. The men constantly train with the knowledge that a mistake could mean not only their deaths, but loved ones back home. They are therefore very confident in that training.
The capability of the submarine force is total. We can do our job. There's no question in my mind that this ship, if ordered now, right now, to go do their mission, wouldn't have any problem at all.
Why do these men volunteer? For a variety of reasons. Pat Condon of Albert Lee thought the Navy offered something more than driving a tow truck.
It shows you the world outside of, well, for me, outside of Minnesota. That's where I grew up. That's all I knew.
Pat's wife, Judy, of Austin, Minnesota, questions whether Americans appreciate the sacrifice the men on submarines and their families make for us.
They're out there protecting us, you know, and the Russians are out there, you know, too, with their submarines under there. And I don't know, I wonder, do people really realize that they're out there for us?
In the final analysis, submarine life does require a special breed to put up with the close quarters, the separation from family.
The job being done by the Minneapolis-St. Paul is not one many of us would like to do, so far removed from family and friends. But to many, it's comforting that subs like this are out here, keeping America's sea lanes open. While others might disagree with that point of view, these men put it on the line almost every day. For the Eyewitness News Update off the coast of Florida, Tom Garrison, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.